embattled Harvard President Claudine Gay will possibly be making a return visit to Capitol Hill amid ongoing allegations of academic malfeasance and plagiarism. The Hill reports that the House Education Committee plans to expand its investigation into Gay to include allegations that she committed plagiarism in academic works. Now, this follows the committee's infamous hearing on campus anti-Semitism featuring Gay and also the leaders of the University of Pennsylvania and MIT. Now, the announcement comes as Gay's troubles have seemingly reached outside the halls of Congress and the internet to hit the mainstream media. Jake Tapper featured Gay as the lead story on his evening CNN show. Here's a quick peek at that.
Harvard's top governing body said a review revealed, quote, inadequate citations by Dr. Gay in a few instances, but, quote, no violation of Harvard's standards for research misconduct, unquote. Now, Harvard's guide on sourcing says this on plagiarism, quote, in academic writing, it is considered plagiarism to draw any idea or any language from someone else without adequately crediting that source in your paper, unquote. Now, critics of Dr. Gay and Harvard's review of the allegations say that there is a double standard going on here.
Yesterday, Harvard announced it had found 2 more instances of insufficient citation in Gay's work. The problematic language came from Gay's 1997 doctoral dissertation, in which Harvard said it found 2 examples of duplicative language without appropriate attribution. Harvard has said it still has no plans to remove Gay from her position.
Yeah, so this is really heating up. Obviously now there's been reporting in CNN that there is the additional plagiarism and that this has not been adequately handled. So I don't know why Congress really needs to hold an investigation, but I think Harvard should do more.
That sort of thing didn't matter, Robbie. I thought the pretext of this and the rationale for this and the witch hunt of it all, the background of the story obviously being that there have been student protests on colleges across the campus because the majority of young people are hotly objecting to the now murder of 20,000 innocent people in Palestine over the last 2 months, the majority of whom are women and children. That has been characterized as anti-Semitic protest, and any effort to protect the speech of those protesters by university presidents has been condemned and attacked by people like Christopher Rufo, who are mounting these kinds of pretextual campaigns to try to oust the deans of the colleges that would not censor the free speech of pro-Palestinian protesters. So now we're going to have a congressional investigation into the academic history of private school presidents. It seems to me at a certain point, Robbie, we have to acknowledge that this is increasingly not making any sense and is a waste of tax dollars. There was a recent story that showed that this has been the least productive Congress in decades, and that some weird, like a quarter of all the laws passed, there were only like 25 laws or something, involve these kind of statements that from river to the sea is anti-Semitism, the censoring Rashida Tlaib, conflating anti-Semitism with anti-Zionism, those kinds of things. That's what Congress is up to. And now it seems their next crusade is going to be to try to pressure a Harvard dean out of her position because of plagiarism in her essays.
Okay, well, maybe we could stop directing any public funds to Harvard, and then they can do whatever they want, and they can keep Claudine Gay in her position, even though she has clearly engaged in practices that violate Harvard's policies. This is now, we've now cited multiple ethicists and experts by the New York Times, by CNN, in addition to the ones cited by the conservative news outlets who have brought this to attention. Many of them concluding that, I mean, virtually all of them concluding that this is a form of plagiarism that needs to be dealt with. That's despite the Harvard Corporation's entirely rushed investigation of this. The experts told CNN and the New York Times these kinds of investigations should take weeks and months. It happened immediately. It was not done by the actual ethicists of the department under which Gay's work should have fallen, but by Harvard Corporation itself, rubber stamping this. I know you want this to be about the free speech issues and all of that, but none of that gets around the fact that these are actual academic violations that should be handled by Harvard.
I think they should absolutely go through every single professor at Harvard University and do an investigation. In fact,
well, we're starting at the top. We're starting with the head honcho.
Well, I don't think you have to start anywhere. I think you do it a wholesome investigation, and I think that you should actually probably start in sequential order of who actually has been targeted, who's been flagged for these kind of violations. So you can go back again to someone like Alan Dershowitz. Similarly, there was an investigation by then interim president, I think, Derek Bok and Charles Ogletree, the details of which were never made public. let's have a conversation about that. It was also corroborated that he had plagiarized by a number of other esteemed professors from around the country. Michael Desch, political science professor, University of Notre Dame, observed that not only did Dershowitz improperly present someone else's ideas, he may not have even bothered to have read the original sources. He copied and pasted in a way that preserved errors in the original citation.
Why does this matter at all?
Good question.
That is my question.
None of this matters. Because all of this is a dog and pony show to keep us from not paying attention to the fact that the IDF in the last 2 days has been accused of
This has nothing to do with that. We are talking about the head of the most elite institution, educational institution in the country, whose work is full of what we're now calling duplicative language, which is obviously plagiarism, and people like you and people like Charles Fried, a professor at Harvard Law School, quoted in the New York Times as saying, well, it's a part of an extreme right-wing attack on elite institutions.
It is.
The obvious point is to make it look as if there's a double standard. If it came from some other quarter, I might be granting it some credence, but not from these people.
Of course.
So this has to, if a liberal brought forth these exact same accusations, then we could pay attention to them? That's ridiculous.
If the accusations were raised outside of the context of them just having a hearing to interrogate them on the free speech policies of the universities. If like Christopher Rufo is literally tweeting, this is the plan. Oh, congratulations, we got the mainstream press to take this seriously. This is step one in getting her ousted. Because I care about all the Israel stuff. So of course I don't care, Robbie. Why do you care? Why do you care what a private institution?
Because I care about the academic standards at Harvard.
Why?
And if we're going to let her get away with it because she is on the right side of your dispute is utterly unprincipled.
Well, why do we let Dershowitz get away with it?
I don't know the merit. I don't know that he should get away with it. I don't know the merits of the case.
Okay, so there's no investigation.
I mean, he's not the president of Harvard.
Well, no. And
there wasn't. My understanding is there was an investigation in the Dershowitz case, and he was cleared.
They never really. Yeah, exactly. Just like Roxane Gay was cleared. And they're not going to fire her. So why is this still an ongoing conversation?
She was cleared by Harvard Corporation, not by the department that should have investigated this. And it took a matter of weeks when it should have taken longer. And all of these ethicist people are saying...
Let's unpack how thorough the investigation was of Alan Dershowitz, how long it took, and let's go through the records of every other...
Do a segment on it, do a radar on it. I don't care. It has nothing to do with... If he's guilty, he should be held to the same standard. It doesn't matter. We're talking about the president of Harvard, and people are covering it up and ignoring it because she's on the right side of this dispute, and it's utterly unprincipled.
Libertarian principles are that we have to go in with the government resources and oust the president of a private college.
Who's the we?
Robbie, that's what you're saying right now. This is your crusade. I don't care, and I'm sorry, no one can make me care. Of the two of us, I went to Harvard. Twice.
That's fair.
I'm the one.
I'm a plebeian at the University of Michigan.
Let me finish this point, Robbie. It strikes me as very curious that you seem to be so much more deeply invested in the reputational integrity of Harvard University, an institution which I regularly trash and condemn, mind you, and don't think should exist. But you seem to be so deeply invested in the academic integrity of Harvard University that you're willing to throw your libertarian ideals of private institutions being able to conduct themselves the way they want without government interference to champion a pogrom against Claudine Gay.
They can conduct themselves in any way they see fit, just as soon as, and ideally, this will happen when they are totally cut off from the public dole, which I advocate right now.
Make an argument that you think that every university that does something bad should be, in your personal perspective,
university should be off the public dole anyway.
Have a public voting. I want to bring up a similar story that has gotten absolutely no outrage, unsurprisingly, from this quarter that's very concerned about the conduct of university presidents. Michelle Bachmann, who I didn't realize this, apparently she is dean at the Robertson School of Government, recently made an appearance on the Charlie Kirk show, where she didn't say she was protecting the perhaps spicy speech of people at the university, but made some spicy comments of their own. Can we play that clip?
Because they have one industry in Gaza, and that's terrorism. So it's time that Gaza ends. The 2 million people who live there, they are clever assassins. They need to be removed from that land. That land needs to be turned into a national park.
I don't know what she said.
All right, so she said it's time that Gaza ends. The 2 million people who live there, they are clever assassins. They, the 2 million people that live there, need to be removed from that land. That land needs to be turned into a national park. Now, that's a clear endorsement of ethnic cleansing of the 2 million people that live in Gaza. It is not coming from students. There's not an allegation that something untoward was on a sign somewhere that nobody took a picture of. This is straight from the horse's mouth and captured on camera. Now, I don't know how much public funding the Regent University gets, but do you also agree that Regent University should be condemned and that Michelle Bachmann needs to be investigated for publicly advocating for ethnic cleansing as the dean of a university?
No. I think if she committed plagiarism, they should probably do something about it. And I think her university, no more so than Harvard, is deserving of public subsidy. How about that?
Okay.
Okay. More Rising right after this.